What's up, college baseball fans? Welcome to the Texas A&M Texas episode of the 11.7 podcast. We wanted to do a quick episode here on this Friday morning just to kind of recap all the saga that's been going on this week in college baseball. Obviously, there's been some other coaching hires at like the mid-major level that we can briefly touch on, but really we just want to focus on what's been going on between Austin and College Station, Texas. Um, we still don't have a head coach for Texas A&M University, and some people that maybe don't have social media or aren't following the news be like, "Whoa, what? Why does Texas A&M not have a head baseball coach? They just finished runner-up in the College World Series." Well, on Monday, Coach Jim Schlossnagle, who was at A&M, took the head coaching job at Texas. A lot of drama surrounding that, and he took his whole staff too. The same staff that we were bragging about being one of the best, if not the best, assistant coaches collectively in the country. So they're all gone to Texas. They already had their press conference and their interviews. So today we're going to focus on who is A&M going to hire, why does that person make sense, and who are some candidates that maybe aren't getting the aren't like there. I think there's some shadow candidates that aren't being talked about, very tight-lipped. So that'll be today's episode, a little bit shorter. And I promise we will do a full season recap and give away awards. Here's a teaser for you guys. Before we started recording here, we're gonna do. We were planning an episode where we're gonna give away some accolades and awards, like first team, all non-power five, and maybe mid-major coach of the year, stuff like that. So that'll come out maybe early next week, and some other fun stuff planned. We'll do a draft episode too. So we're not going to be completely done this off season. We want to actually do work because we have to now. Anyways, Jack, since you're such a diehard Longhorn fan, I want you to recap from your point of view what's going down in Austin. You were there, boots on the ground in Omaha, like a week ago, less than a week ago,
Yeah.
and you got to witness all of this, but had no idea that this was in the work. So give us your point of view here first.
I think that's important to note going into the A&M hiring process is this idea that, well, there was the same cast and crew of people that, oh, this is a shoe-in for the Texas job. Oh, everyone's hearing this. Everyone's hearing that. Yet it was a mystery wild card right at the last hour, 12 hours after getting bounced from the College World Series in Game 3, Jim Schlossnagle, who, again, all week, right, you could hear him during practice going, only at College Station, only the Aggies get to fly over during practice, like really proud and wearing that Texas A&M uniform. In the shadows, takes a job with their arch rival. You want to talk about the rivalry renewed? Things are going to be frisky next year. Um, I think when you look at the breakdown, and anyone who's listening to this has probably kept up with what's happened, I guess, in the last 48 hours. I think it's really important to say this first and foremost. Nobody knows what they're talking about. There are a handful of people that actually know what's going on in this situation. So be careful what you're reading out there. What I would tell you is that I believe, in my opinion, that many things can be true at the same time. This idea that, yes, I understand that Jim Schlossnagle made a move selfishly for he and his family to chase a bag. I will never question a human being that can make life-changing money for not only his kids, but his kids' kids. Completely understand. I can understand that in today's college baseball landscape, that a move and a decision like this has to be made with a sense of urgency. You have to be able to go take that job in order to go and get the recruits that you want to land in order to succeed at the next destination. I also thirdly understand that you want to take your assistants with you. You're going to a university, just like at A&M, that you can pay Max Weiner and you can pay Early and you can pay Nolan Kane. And I can understand from their perspective that they go, hey, I could put my hat in at Texas A&M to be the new head coach. But if I don't get that job, I understand that they're all wildly talented. Where else am I going to go? Every chair is filled up in the college country right now. They got to look after themselves and make sure that they're getting a job at an assistant role, making $200,000, $300,000+ a year. I can say all of that and remain true, and also go, it was a scumbag, slimy move. I feel, right, as former players, I feel for the fifth-year senior, the guy that's hanging it up, lacing it up, putting on the jersey for the final time. The emotions of going to a ballpark, knowing that everything you're doing is a lot. to weigh on a young man, right? It is hard. There is a sense of depression 2 weeks after going, hey, I may have been ready to be done playing, but I can't believe it's over. Added the element of pressure of playing for a national championship, that weight, first in program's history, a collision of emotion, all the while knowing 12 hours later, a leader of men, the guy taking you into battle, had not one but 2 feet out the door. That's tough to live with, man. I'm not saying that Schloss didn't want to win a national championship. It'd be insane to think that he was going into that dugout with not the intentions to win. But I can't tell you that he was as fully driven as Tony Vitello was in that other dugout. I, in my heart of heart, believe that not one player knew that this was happening. Everyone you're going to see on social media say, oh, I'm hearing, or I am talking. I've actually talked to some of these players. Like, they had no idea, right? So the guys that entered the portal, I truthfully believe had no idea that this happened, but they all of a sudden are thrown with their backs up against the wall, and they have to make a decision that's best for themselves, right? Nolan Kane is immediately linked with Schloss as going straight to Texas, right? The minute that the report drops, Nolan Kane's going with him. It didn't take but about, I think it was 8 hours later that night around 10 p.m., where all of a sudden Michael Early and Max Weiner are going as well. So in my opinion, I don't know, but because those reports come out later, I believe that those 2 young assistant coaches had no idea that this decision was made in the works. For those who don't know this industry, right? Chris Alcante and Jim Schlossnagle, best friends, right? That's what they're reporting. This is a handshake deal over a steakhouse dinner. That's all this is. In my opinion, it's the same kind of decision making that when Paul Maneri and Ray Tanner, right, make this move for South Carolina, same thing. There was no national search. There was no hiring process. These were 2 buddies going, I think this would be a good fit. Let's make it happen. That's what happened here. So the fallout has been wild. Ben, same thing. 2 truths can be the same time. Like, I can say that this is like a heel in WWE. It's also really good for the sport. We're also all talking about college baseball after the World Series. That's good, right? ESPN talk show hosts are talking about our sport. That's fantastic. So there's a lot to, I guess, feel and filter here. But my thoughts and feelings are really surrounded around the student athletes that are having to deal with losing a national championship and then having to question whether their guy leading the way was completely in a different headspace.
Yeah.
Wait, do you think? So you're telling me you think this deal was done the moment the final hour was recorded, or do you think it was done 3 weeks ago?
I know that there was, I don't know if Kendall Rogers tweeted out, who's done a great job covering this thing. And I feel like now, because in an age of social media, like, we all feel like we know what's happening. We all feel like we should have a voice. I don't think many do. I think that there is a reason that this was kept under wraps. I would be willing to venture that when these 2 played each other in a regional in Bluebell Park, you're telling me CDC went in the building going, I want this kind of juice at the dish. There's no way in hell that this conversation happened 2 hours after he loses a natty and he goes, yep, let's do it. It
was a month ago.
And I don't know the legal repercussions, but anyone who saw what happens here is a Tex Aggies reporter the night after they lose the national championship, I believe, was fed intel saying, hey, this is going to happen. No one's talking about it. This is going to happen because I've been in those media rooms before. I'm not asking that question. Right after you lose a national championship, I'm not asking.
The guy that asked it knew it.
He did. He was fed that information because Tex Aggies does great reporting. They're fantastic at what they do.
They already knew.
I believe his name is Zane Taylor. I believe he was in that room. I believe he was fed that intel.
Zane Richards, maybe?
Zane Richards.
I'll look it up. Sorry. We should know this. But
yeah, I'm sorry, Zane. I'm so sorry. Did an unbelievable job. Zane Richard. Excuse me, Zane Taylor actually pitches for UNC Wilmington last year. My brain's all over the place. Zane Richards, excuse me, did an unbelievable job asking that question. I believe that Tex Aggies has done a good enough job where they've warranted that info. So it's fed to him. So he's sitting in that room with that info. There's no way you ask that question and then you're going to be thrown to the dogs if he doesn't take this job. He knew. So he asked that question. Schloss wears him out. It's beyond selfish of you to ask that. You're just trying to.
He broke formation.
All of a sudden, what does Schloss's response tell you? It's one of 2 things, right? It's either A, I got caught, right? I got caught. So now my back's up against the wall and I got to take out my anger on someone else. Or B, he's the biggest Aggie loyal fan in the world, and he was actually furious, right? Clearly, option A has become true. So, I don't know the legal repercussions or if there was quite literally tampering violations involved. I'm not going to be one to dive into it.
You can negotiate a job at any time.
Anytime.
There's nothing illegal about
that. So then I will say this then. I would have respected Schloss a hell of a lot more if he'd have gotten up there and said, I got caught, right? They asked a question that pinned me up against the wall. I knew that I always wanted to coach for my best friend, and I knew it was slimy, and I knew it was shitty. But don't you dare question my faith and belief in these players. A&M fans are going to hate me for the rest of their lives. That's fine. But this was a decision that was best for my family, and I made it 3 weeks ago. Don't lie to us and treat us like children, like we're dumb as hell. Like you made the decision at 10 o'clock after you lose the national championship that you flew to Austin in the morning instead of being with your team. Nah, you're lying to us. You're lying to yourself. So I respect him a whole lot more. And as a Texas fan, I'd have gone, all right, all in. We got our guy. He just wanted to be in Austin. But now they got me pinned up against the wall. With all due respect, I can't root for these guys. I can't root for them anymore. Like I feel for the Aggie faithful. I feel for these players that were completely thrown into a lose-lose situation, right? So it's tough.
But here's my issue with that whole press conference. Schloss has been doing this a long time, right? He knows how to talk to the media. He knows how to do coach speak. He knows how to pivot the attention away. All he had to do was say, "Hey, I'm not up here to talk about myself. I'm not up here to talk about any future employers, anything. I'm here to talk about this team and the 12th man of Texas A&M." That's all he had to do. And the guy would have been like, he'd been like, "Thank you for asking the question, but I'm here to talk about my players. So if you have questions about this team and about this unbelievable run through the college, that's all you had to do."
Yeah, but he was insecure. He got caught, right? Like you ever see someone try to lie themselves out of a situation and they become more.
Which confirms to me he's been sitting on that news for weeks. And that's what I'm saying, dude. But I will say this about the whole thing before Ben gives his opinion. I'm a guy that I'm always a believer in work for the people and not for the school program, whatever. So, like, let's just say Ben is the AD at Florida State, and I'm coaching at South Carolina. I would rather work for my best friend at Florida State than an AD that I don't really know at Tallahassee, or in South Carolina. Even though I love South Carolina, love the fan, love Gamecock, I would rather work with my guy at Florida State, and that's how this business is. You want to work with people that you trust. You want to work with people that you say if they tell you something, you know they mean it. He knows when Chris Del Conte tells him something, he's gonna do it. So I would 100% rather have my job security in his hand than somebody else's hand that I'm acquainted with or just business co-workers with, rather than an actual friend. So don't blame Schloss one bit for that.
So the big thing in life in general and like the world in general is like you have to be able to relate your entertainment, in our case it's sports, right, to like real life examples, real world examples, and like that's how you can communicate from what the coaches and players are going through to like what the fans on social media and all across Texas are feeling, right? And it's two words, and I think everybody can relate to this. It's job security, right? And it happens in all three factions of this, whether Jim Schlossnagle feels like he has more job security with Chris Del Conte in Texas, right? A&M has a new AD. Maybe they're not seeing eye to eye. Maybe there's some, I don't know. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Same thing for the assistant coaches, Nolan Kane, Michael Early, Max Wiener. Jack brought it up earlier. Those guys want job security. And like, sure, they could have waited it out at A&M, finished up their contracts and interviewed for the head coaching job. But if they don't get it, like they might not be on staff for the next coach that comes in. So like job security, right? Same thing for the players in the portal. Jace Lavalette and Hayden Schott and like everybody that entered the portal from A&M. It's job security, right? I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit to deal with like NIL deals and things like that they're uncertain of, but they want to make sure that the coach that gets hired there is somebody that A, wants them, and two, that they want. We don't know what happens. Like if the head coach at Purdue recruited Jace Lavalette out of high school, and maybe Jace Lavalette didn't like the coach at Purdue, and this is a completely made up scenario. I don't know if they even talked or whatever. But the coach at Purdue gets the job at A&M. Jay Lavallette's like, I'm not playing for that guy. And then at that point, it's too late to enter the portal. So it's job security, right? Every job that I've had, there's been bosses that I've loved, and there's been bosses that I hate. There's been coworkers that I love, coworkers that I hate. I would much rather be around people that I like for even less money.
No doubt.
And that's what you were saying, Dimitri, than just stick it out. Like I worked for Geico for a while, right? Auto insurance sales, tons of different insurance sales. I worked there for almost 3 years. I had plenty of opportunities to go work at State Farm or Progressive, and like there would be individual owners of these State Farm companies in town begging me to work for them, and I'm like, I wouldn't really feel comfortable working there, right? So it's real world examples that I think people need to relate to, and of course there's drama because this is entertainment. Like this is WWE, like that kind of heel turn and like that kind of like betrayal. But at the end of the day, we're all entertained, we're all locked in, and it just like shows that the sport is way bigger than what it used to be.
No doubt.
If this would have happened in 2019, there'd be a few blogs and press clippings, and that's it. Done with. Nobody would care.
Hey, you brought up a good point reminding me about the whole player, from the player perspective. I'm torn on this, and I want you guys' opinion on this. A couple players, we don't have to talk about it specifically. If you know who it is, you know who I'm talking about. A couple. They tweet out, I'm all about 12th man, best university in the world. This is the best place to play. If you're in the portal, take a look at us. You want to come play here. No problem with that. But then you get in the portal for personal reasons, for your career, except security. Great, fine. I'm so torn on this because I'm more of a guy that you went to Texas A&M. Obviously, they have to have a good situation for you to go there. But if you love Texas A&M and you want to play for Texas A&M, I'm not wearing another jersey. That's just the kind of person I am. If I was at Miami and they got a new coach, this scenario happened, I'm not leaving. I want to stay in Miami. I want to play for the Hurricane.
Yeah.
Same thing, whatever. So I'm so torn on that they're entering the portal after saying this is the greatest place in the world, but I'm going to go play somewhere else. I don't know. I'm just torn on that. I don't like it.
No, it's really just an insurance policy, dude. That's all it is. Like they know they have to do it soon. And of course, they're probably listening to offers from every school in the country. Like, hey, come here, we'll do this. None of them have made a decision yet. In fact, they've all like come together and pretty much rallied around like, hey, we're staying at A&M. We just need to know a lot of the pitchers, right? So, I mean, I'm in the same boat as you. I was a Mercer guy through and through. If the Mercer coaching staff left, I'm probably still putting on that Mercer jersey, right? Like I just love the school and I love everything around it. But there is like we never played at that top level, right? Where there's money flowing in and opportunities flowing in. And like sometimes like those players have different views on different coaches. So if one player absolutely hates Rob Vaughn because of the 3-game series that happened in College Station and Rob Vaughn, like, I don't know, did him dirty. If Rob Vaughn comes to A&M, like that player is probably not going to play for that guy. And I love Rob Vaughn. He's a Humble, Texas native. Shout out Humble. I watched him play in high school a couple times. He would never be this guy. That was the first name I thought of. But like there's those situations too. Because like when you're at the top, you never want to go down, right? Like you want to be at the top. And I think that's what the players are like rallying behind.
So that you said it perfectly. And I've got an answer because Dimitri, you're right. You staged like a question to me why college baseball is the best because it's so relatable. All of the life experiences that we can draw from, like Ben said, become so applicable in this conversation, right? I'll be very honest. We'll talk about it. I got dragged on Twitter a little bit by A&M fans. I go, you're missing what I've said. Like Jay Lavalette tweets out, I love the 12th man making his pitch for guys in the portal to come play with him, right? Job security does not apply for Laviolette and Graham Hovack. Like these guys are cool. They're good. They're good. They're going to play wherever they want. They're going to get their bag wherever they want. These are first-round picks. These are Team USA guys. They're good. He tweets that out not knowing that his whole world is about to get flipped upside down 24 hours after losing the national championship.
Okay. But here's
he deletes the tweet because of what Ben said, right? Like I have to then make a decision that is best for me. But Ben just hit it at the very end of his tangent. These guys are winners. And I think what is such a bummer that's happened in the last 48 hours is that we have forgotten how much this team loved the hell out of each other in this year. The Fungo Golf, the Ratlin Bog, Hayden Schott saying at every opportunity, I cannot believe I get to play my 5th year of baseball with my best friends. We've completely forgotten about it in a snap of a finger. And the biggest bummer, and this I think will kind of answer your question, Dimitri, is this idea that they want to go win a national championship. They want to go back. They just had it ripped from their fingertips. They had the chance to take home the dream, which is to host that trophy. They had it. They were a pitch away. A pitch, a strikeout in the ninth, like a Hunter Ensley insane slide into home, and they have a national championship. Instead, in 24 hours, the whole country's questioning culture and locker room. And when that was not even the case, we were rallying behind this story about how they loved on Braden Montgomery. To me, what the disservice of this whole situation is this idea that the NIL world opened Pandora's box. Right? We're still trying to figure out how to put the puzzle pieces together. We can all say that these players deserve a little bit of money because this sport's hard. You might not make it at the next level. So if you can make it now, kudos to you. Now, it's a little bit of a dirty game. The portal is a little weird. You got coaches poaching kids after a 3-for-4 night in the middle of a season. This transfer portal window, if you are so, I guess, childish to think it only exists right now, come on, open those eyes, wake up for me. Like, this is a dirty game. My problem is we're trying to negotiate and put guidelines in place to make it a little bit cleaner, right? Are we going to a place where these student athletes are employees of the university, where I sign a contract and I am locked in on the university? I know that Jace Laviolette loved to play for Texas A&M. I saw it. I felt it. It's not believable. It's just truth. But I also believe that he's been put in this really uncomfortable position by a man that was insanely selfish. And that's the biggest disservice here. As we're trying to, I guess, close Pandora's box and instill guidelines, the biggest problem here is that one dude, right? Like, I know that Saban and all these legendary coaches are retiring from the sport because of NIL. Well, one action like this has just sent us back a whole decade where players from here on out will love their school, but go, that guy could screw me over at any point in time. I love him and I believe in him, but he could. And that's exactly what happened this week.
Okay, but how can you sit there and call Schlossnagle selfish and then give all the benefit of the doubt to Lavalette? The same thing. He's being selfish as well. Deleting the tweet saying, I'm going to worry about myself.
Yeah, no doubt. He's 20 years old. He's a 20-year-old kid that's actually on the field playing. Like I said at the very beginning, like, I will never question someone for chasing their bag and doing what they feel is right for them and their family. But I can also say that, like, as a leader of men trying to morph these kids, like, that I can place more blame on one individual because he should know better versus like an 18 to 22-year-old who's actually making the money for Schloss. Like, don't forget that this A&M team was horrible last year. They go on this unbelievable run. Does that happen without the insane talent? No. Now, kudos to Schloss for being an unbelievable recruiter, but like, if I'm Jason, I'm this whole and Jason hasn't even decided where he's going to go yet. So like, he might go back. But when he sent that tweet out, he absolutely meant what he said. I know that. But yes, because he is in the driver's seat, right? I wouldn't want to go through a rebuilding phase. You know what I mean? Like, They were just at the pinnacle of the sport. If he wants to start over, in my opinion, and I hear you, I understand like how it sounds the way I'm saying it, but in my opinion, like, it's far more selfish for a guy that had already been contracted and signed in for $3 million versus the first team All-American sophomore who's a year away from getting drafted. There's no coaching. Schloss just went to a national championship. That just sets him up financially for the next decade. No matter what happens, if he goes 0-56 next year, there will be a school that gives him a job. Jace Laviolette and every baseball player in the country knows that, like, in the flash of an eye, it can all be taken away.
Yeah.
Right? So,
well, so like the difference is Jace Laviolette was being reactionary, right? Like, he reacted to the situation, and I think that's perfectly okay. If you want to call it selfish, like, that is okay. Imagine if Laviolette had a deal in place since the Georgia series that he was going to Texas no matter what, and then Jim Schlossnagle was like, whoa, what just happened? I just lost him 12 hours after the national championship. Like, you don't know how Schloss would react, right? So if, like, roles were reversed, like, I'm always going to take the side of the guy that's being reactionary. Like, a situation happens and it's like, oh, wow, like, my back's against the wall now. Let me do what's best for me. Versus like planning it out and whether telling your team or not telling your team that you're taking this Texas job, and then make them reactionary. Like that's more selfish to me.
That hit the nail on the head. That's all I think I was trying to say. You portrayed that.
And I have no dog in this fight. I don't think what Lavalette is bad. I don't think what Schloss is horrible either. Do I think Schloss did it poorly? Yeah. Do I think some of the players handled it poorly? Yeah. That doesn't mean I'm like on Schloss' side or on Lavallette's side. I'll always be on the player's side. But my issue is stand on business. I love that phrase. You tweeted out you love Texas A&M. Go in the portal, but leave the tweet. You love Texas A&M. You can go in the portal and love Texas A&M at the same time.
Well, like these guys have agents now, Dimitri. Like it might not have been his decision to take it down, right? Like these guys, like they don't really make these decisions.
You can't have an
anymore.
official agent in college. You can't.
Well, dude, I'll tell you this: like something that stands out to me and like should make a lot of Aggie fans happy is nobody's transferred to Texas yet.
I know.
Like they're still in the portal. If it was something where, like, I felt like this is something we haven't even talked about, but a lot of Aggie fans felt betrayed, right? Like, did we lose the national championship because they were focused on something else? And the answer is no. Like, you go back and watch the College World Series games, go watch the regional, super regionals. They played to win every game. And like, I even believe that the coaching staff at A&M was playing to win and like did not. I felt like they were focused on winning.
And that's a championship of personal accolade. Of course, they're playing to win every game.
So like, I want to stop that rumor right now. Like, I want to stop those rumors going around social media that A&M wasn't focused, like the A&M staff wasn't focused on winning. Dude, they had Evan Ashen back up in the 6th inning in Game 2 with the lead. Like, he was in the bullpen throwing pitches after throwing 50 the night before. Like, dude, if they were trying to lose or like not caring about winning, he would have never even stood up and stretched.
Dude, like, Ben, if you're working at Allstate and you've got a report due, but you put in your 3 weeks notice because you got a new job. So that job starts next month. Nobody's mad about that. In order to collect paycheck, you got to finish your job there. Because if you don't, Allstate can call your new employer and be like, hey, this guy, he just checked out. Watch out for that. He might just check out. You know what I mean? So you still got to do your job. And it's a personal accolade of a national championship. Schloss doesn't know if he's ever going to get a chance to play for another one. That's why the A&M fans need to chill out on
that. That's all conspiracy theory, right? But it's not the draw, right? Like if I'm an Aggie fan, it's just that like it's the arch, like it's the rival. Like this is the team that you've hated your entire life that is about to become fresh again with Texas joining the SEC. So I understand where they draw that from. Like I'm an irrational Houston Astros fan. Like if this went down with a guy going to the Yankees the day after they lose in the World Series or something along those lines, like I draw that correlation. But he's also a human being. Like he is a competitive in nature human being. Like he was trying to win a national championship. He probably wanted to win it more than lose it solely because he knew that this decision would be a whole lot easier on Aggie fans if he won the damn thing. He wins the damn thing. He still wins you your first national champion. Now he's going to take on a new obstacle. A couple pitches and a couple balls don't bounce your way. Now you're just going to be the most hated human in College Station for the next century. So I don't think by any means this is like 1919 Black Sox scandal stuff. This is the new landscape of college baseball or not college baseball. This is a new landscape of college sports where we live in a microwave society. Everything is instantaneous and it's a little scary, right? So I do keep drawing back to all the Coach K and Coach Saban and all these legends of the sport that are backing out going, man, this is a different, even Coach Gilmore at Coastal Carolina said this is a different beast. Like this is a different animal and I don't really want to play this game. So I'm going to walk away as the legend that I am. So that's really what stands out to me here is we're trying to organize this thing. An event like this completely throws a stick of dynamite into the middle of it and just blows it all back to square one.
Good point, because this is why what you just said is exactly why job security is becoming more and more important these days. Because if Schloss is at A&M, all of a sudden AD goes, hey, we just don't have enough nil money for these guys. They transfer out. He goes, you just lost back-to-back losing seasons. We're gonna go in a different direction. But if you go to Del Conte, his friend, a little more job security, nil, whatever, the chips fall the wrong way. They have a couple bad seasons at Texas. The guy gets hurt, guy gets transferred, yada, yada. He knows Del Conte and him can have a talk, and he could be, listen, I couldn't control this. This is not my fault.
Yeah. Facts.
I'll do my best to go forward, but job security is massive these days, especially with the NIL and the roster turnover and how fast things can explode in front of your face. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. Congrats to the squad. You got a dream job.
First 30 minutes, we did a kind of a recap of the situation. Now let's get into the fun part.
Yeah.
Let's spend some time and let's talk about some candidates and like why they should be a good fit and like why they would be a good fit or would not. Kendall Rogers came out with his list of 5 potential candidates. And there is, dude, I'm telling you this right now. There is somebody not on that list that I think is going to interview for the job. I don't know if it's my place to like say it or not, because like I don't want this to spread to his team. But there's a big name out there that maybe I'll just briefly go by it. I won't say it, but like I'm gonna run through about 8 or 9 names, and it's one of those 8 or 9 names. Fair?
The hell
So
yeah.
the first,
Just say it. Just say it's your personal
no,
opinion.
because like, dude, if it doesn't end up working out, maybe he interviews and like doesn't get the job. Like I think he wants to make it very secretive. That not secretive, but just behind the scenes. And in fact, I think Kendall even said it that there is a mystery candidate. He might was it Kendall or Teddy Cahill that said it?
I don't know, but I do think this. I brought it up like twice now, but I want to preface before we jump into this part of the conversation. There are not many that actually know what's being said behind closed doors. So when you're listening to us, just know that this is from people that love the sport. And like, we're just making inferences. No one really knows. So when you're like, oh, I'm hearing, bro, bullshit. Like,
bro, oh my God, I'm so tired
Well,
of that.
yeah, like that
no,
is
no,
people.
I'm not even throwing darts at people. I'm just more so saying like, this is a conversation, a dialogue. We're not actually like going Schefter and Woj on you. Like, we're just having some fun with this.
So I'll give you guys, the listeners, like a rule of thumb. If you see people on social media saying that they're hearing stuff, I wouldn't believe them, because like look at the people that are kind of staying quiet on this front. Like the people that are staying quiet, those are the ones you need to keep up with, because they're being told, do not say this. Like, do not say this yet. Do not leak this. And like, that's when it happens in the NFL all the time. Like when, like sometimes these schools will leak a name just to see if they trust you or not. And if you leak that name, they're like, okay, I know he said it and he spread it to the media. We're not telling him anything ever again.
Bingo.
So the people that are staying quiet are the people that you should probably look for this announcement to be made. Everybody else is just picking at rumors online or think they have a connection that like is not a real connection. Somebody in the know. I would say there's really only about maybe a dozen or 2 dozen people that actually know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of them. I'm not saying I'm one of them. I just have been told through another coach that works at a Power 5 level that he has a good idea of what's going to happen. So, I'm not even going through the source. I'm going through a source of a source.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not even worth tweeting out, right?
So
It's a bad look.
Hit us with your 5 to 8. I love this.
Well, so let's go over the 5 that Kendall put out here on D1baseball.com. And like, I don't think I'm like, pay for a subscription D1 Baseball. It's worth it. They're great. This and that. You've probably seen the 5 names anyways. Like, I hate leaking stuff behind a paywall, but like, it is what it is. Name number 1 is Link Jarrett from Florida State. I don't think he's leaving. Who knows? I mean, he left Notre Dame after going to the College World Series to go to Florida State, but like, that is his home. Like, that is where he played. Like, he has a connection with the Mike Martin and the Martin family. Like, he's done such a good job in short time there. I think that's kind of a dream scenario. Listen, if you can get Link Jarrett, like, he's going to make your program possibly better.
He ain't leaving.
So I think that's just a big name that will not take the job.
Facts.
Mingione from Kentucky is the second name. Maybe. Like, I'm not saying yes or no, but he'd be a great hire. Like, I think he's somebody that would bring his own culture to the A&M culture already and like make a good little hybrid mix. Awesome guy. Like, loves 11.7, loves what we do. He's just a big college baseball fan, and I could see him buying into the culture. I don't think he's going to take it, though. I think he's kind of like Tim Corbin, who takes pride in what he's built and like wants to build that empire more. Rob Vaughn, a name I brought up earlier. I'm so sorry. I should have never said the situation. Like, it was a made up situation. Rob Vaughn's like a freaking dude. If you can get Rob Vaughn, great. Is he going to stay at Alabama where like he has the keys to his castle and he can build it the way he wants and has been successful there? We'll see. I think Alabama is a great underrated SEC town, and the baseball facilities are getting better, and like he's going to be great there. Here's the name that's been leaking all over social media. Heefner from Dallas Baptist. I know that's Dimitri's favorite. There were tons of like people on social media saying he's already accepted the job and has already like they're gonna have a press conference today. Like, dude, I'll tell you that right now, that's not true.
Wait,
Like,
who said? Somebody said that.
Dude,
there's just people online. Like that's the hot name right now going around Texas A&M. Like Twitter is like it spreads quickly. It spreads like wildfire. Look, I think there's a good chance he gets the job and he takes the job. Unfortunately to him, I don't want to say it's like a last resort for A&M because it's like not giving him the credit of what he's done at Dallas Baptist, but he's not like that big name splash hire that non-college baseball fans, like the college baseball casuals, they won't get excited about. But like real college baseball fans know that like he's a freaking dude and he is somebody that could win a national championship.
He's already turned down multiple Power 5 jobs. Just for the people that don't know Dan Heefner, he had turned down Power 5 to stay at Dallas Baptist.
Right. Like he is fantastic. So if he ends up at A&M, like I'm excited, you're excited, Jack's excited. Talk about like a Dallas Baptist program that really loves 11.7. The players, the coaches, everybody, like even like the main accounts and stuff. What he's built over there has been truly remarkable for a school that only has the one Division I sport. Everything else is D2. So like money and resources aren't as abundant as A&M. Cliff Godwin's a name I want to talk about here for a second. Cliff Godwin, East Carolina. He's turned down. I don't know if this is factual, but I'm pretty sure he's turned down multiple ACC and SEC jobs all the time. Like he was rumored possibly to go to Ole Miss for several years and Louisville and this and that. Like after those guys retire, I think it would be a great fit for A&M to hire Cliff Godwin, and I think that is a big name and a big splash. The problem is that guy is not handcuffed, but he is handcuffed himself to East Carolina in a way. Like he is pirate blood through and through. I don't see like when I close my eyes and think, I don't see him ever leaving that school. But when we want to tilt the scale the other way and even this thing out, this has become an arms race. And East Carolina will never have the money and the resources that the Power Four starting next year are going to have, unless they end up joining a ACC or Big 12. The American Conference has a fraction of what the SEC and Big 12, ACC, and Big 10 have. Like, is he going to make that jump now for this arms race? Or is he going to stay loyal and like really just try to get his Pirates to Omaha? I'll tell you this, if East Carolina made it to Omaha this year, I think he jumps and goes to A&M. Like I think if East Carolina was in Omaha and he completed that mission, I think that's enough for him to make that jump to A&M. But I think there's something inside of him that's telling him, I got to get to Omaha with my guys.
I'm torn on Godwin. I think he's an awesome dude. That Evansville series changed my opinion about him. Literally the final 30 seconds. And I hate judging someone on 30 seconds because we all know we have reactionary, crazy shit that we do. That we're just like, damn, why the fuck did I do that? But I think there's better options than Godwin. That's just my opinion. I think what he has built over there, very few people can do what Cliff Godwin has done at East Carolina. But you've got to look at the big picture. He missed Omaha. He's had every opportunity to make it, and he hasn't gotten there. So as a coach, as a program, you're like, Dan Heefner, same way. He hasn't gotten there. But I just think East Carolina is a much easier school to win at than Dallas Baptist. That's for damn sure. You've got the jungle, you've got the atmosphere, you've got the school, you've got the community, you've got every Dallas Baptist. Nobody gives a shit about Dallas Baptist outside of Dallas-Fort Worth. Did anybody? You guys know better than I do. I don't think many people care about Dallas. So my point is, they're better off than Cliff Godwin. And if I were him, I would just stay at East Carolina. But money talks.
I was gonna say I'll give you like a couple million reasons why he would leave. I think when you look at this situation now, right?
Couple million reasons, yep.
Right, like I'll give you a couple. I just think now, like, look what's happening. Right, there's this fear. There's a reason that Schloss in Texas acted as fast as they did, because if you miss out on this win, dude, Tennessee had the parade 24 hours after winning a national championship. Because why? They went right back to work Wednesday morning. And like you're missing time and pieces and players, and people got to be places. So now watch what's happening in the market. Hey, Wes Johnson, you're not going anywhere, buddy. Georgia locked him down with an extension. You're seeing this happening, right? This ripple effect. So this fear of these Power 4 schools going, we can't lose our guy. We got to nail him down. Because is this going to be like a chain of that? Like if a big time coach, right? And I don't want, because again, like we don't want to name names, like, because again, we're just like speculating. If a big time name leaves a big time Power 4 school, then they got to have a big last second coaching hire, right? So to me, Ben and I talked about this on the phone yesterday. There are only a couple names, with it becoming the wars race, the Civil War of Texas, that this will be called for the next decade, that are going to, like, in my opinion, ease over Aggie faithful. But if you're right, if you're a first time, not a first time, if you're a new AD, right? That's exactly what Marv Alberts is, or Trev Alberts, excuse me. Right? You got to make a splash. You got to win this thing, right? But this has become like a win-lose battle for him for this first year AD at A&M. Ben and I said, and I do stand on this, the first requirement for taking this job, in my opinion, is how much do you hate the University of Texas? How much do you hate them? Because I don't want someone going in and being like PC about this. I want someone coming in and going, they did our guys dirty. We're going to make sure that we repay like that debt. Like, so I think, and again, I don't know what I'm talking about. In my first phone call, if I'm Trev Alberts, I'm calling one of those guys on that staff. I understand that they already had the headshots made at Texas, right? I know Max Weiner and Michael Early and Nolan Kane already had the headshots done. They're already in the burnt orange. One of those three guys is my call. Money talks. Money talks. Friendships last forever, but money talks. I'm calling one of those guys that maybe didn't know this went down, that felt like their backs were up against the wall and had to make a decision to make the drive to Austin, Texas. I'm going to come back. Bring all the boys with you. We're going to run this.
You're talking about the assistant that we're just at A&M.
That already took their pictures in Austin. That's my first call if I'm Trev Alberts. I'm talking Max Weiner, who's only 29. I'm talking Michael Early, who's one of the more respectable head coaches or hitting coaches in the country. I'm talking Nolan Kane, who's become a recruiting guru. If I am Trev Alberts, that is my. You want to get everybody back out of the portal and come back? Look what Hayden Schott tweeted out. That went nutty viral yesterday. Those are the guys that they love and respect on. I know that Chestnut wrote that piece about, how he was treated by Schloss in his days. No one's saying that about any of those assistants, are they? If I wanted to make a splash and I wanted someone who felt maybe a little bitter towards this situation, I want to hear what they have to say. That would be my
first splash hire, though, in my opinion. That is a short-term plan. A splash hire is not a first-time head coach. You don't just make a head coach hire for the next 2 years of keeping players around.
That's not what that move is. That's not what that move is. Tony V, 7 years ago. Babyface assassin.
Before this was the arms race. This is not the arms race of today, though.
It is a young man's game now. Like, it is a young coach's young coach's game now, where sometimes I don't think you need that splash hire. You just need to get your boys back. Like, you need to get your team back.
But you don't.
That is way more valuable than a splash hire. Like, splash hire, believe me, I'm all for. Like, if they go and get Wayne Graham out of retirement at 90 years old, like, that's a splash hire. That is awesome. I don't know how many of those kids come back. Like, it's good for the university and the public.
Who cares if they come back or not? You're hiring a guy to install the best program to get you back to Omaha. You're not hiring a guy just to keep your roster around for 1 or 2 years.
Well, their best chance to build a program is to get the roster back.
Guys that just took him to Omaha. Yeah,
if you don't get your roster back, you're starting from scratch.
But Dimitri, I don't think you I understand what you mean. You don't hire a guy on a 1 or 2 year rental. In my opinion, to Ben's point, why did Monty Lee just get $500,000 at South Carolina to be the associate head, the third coach, right? Because Paul Maneri, a legendary head coach, isn't adapted to this landscape. This is a new landscape from last year to 2 years versus 10 years. So Monty Lee gets 500 grand because he is in touch with what's happening right now, right? When we
The
talk
same
about,
reason why Monty Lee didn't get the job.
no, because that's totally different situation. Monty Lee got fired.
But that's my point. You don't just hire an assistant just to keep your roster around.
We say going into the World Series that the national championship, that between Tennessee and Texas A&M, they may be the best two support staff and assistant coaching ranks in the country. I think Josh Elander is a superstar, and I think he's passed up on other jobs. I think Max Weiner and Michael Early are superstars and will be household names. I am not hiring, right? Early or Weiner, in my opinion, is the guy. I think Nolan Cain is gone. I mentioned earlier in the pod, when Schloss announced that he was leaving, Nolan Cain was attached at the hip, associate, gone with him. They didn't announce Early or Weiner until 12 hours later. So in my opinion, I'm calling one of those two guys because I'm not hiring them from 1 or 2 years. Max Weiner's 29 years old, about to be 30. I'm hiring him to be the, excuse my language, I'm hiring him to be the motherfucking guy. And I want him to be that motherfucker. Just like Tony V brought that juice to Knoxville. He ain't a 2-year rental. He's the 40-year plan. I don't want him to ever.
What if Early and Max Weiner don't want to be the head coach right now? You never know. Like that's my point.
I'm not giving them. I'm giving them the option to make that decision. Is my point. Like that's. I'm
right.
not saying they're going to say yes or no.
You don't.
Also, who the hell doesn't want to be the head coach though? Like why get into this?
Like that's why they got.
If I'm A&M and they hire Michael Early, or by the way, I love Michael Early and I think Max Weiner is a very up and coming name, will be a superstar. If I'm an A&M fan and they hire one of those two guys, I am pissed. I am absolutely pissed.
You're not an A&M fan. I think you're completely offbeat, not in touch.
No, if Miami just did the same thing, we hired our pitching coach. Pissed me off.
That's so different, though.
We're different. Miami
that is so different.
Fans? Did you guys just play for a national championship?
No, but you're missing my point.
Is your whole roster in the portal right now?
Just to keep a roster around. You go and get a guy that has the program and has the blueprint.
No, you're
dude. All right, so
come on, guys, come on. Take the emotions out of this. Take the emotions.
Dimitri, I see your point of view. It's like a very logical way to think, but you will never change my mind.
No,
you will never change my mind that the best way to keep this program running is to hire a guy where you get your team back. Don't think about a splash hire. Like you need to make sure that your guys in the portal are coming back with this hire, because without it, dude, they could be struggling for 4 or 5 years. Like, but you go back to winning next year, the recruits will want to come back. Like those players will talk good on, like the guys that are going in the first round. They'll talk good on the coach, and you'll get recruits or transfer portal guys. Like it's a culture thing. You're not winning right away without a culture. You bring in a splash hire with no culture, you ain't winning.
Okay, but you're not hiring just to continue for 2 more years, and then this guy says, "Holy shit, I don't know how to run a program." You don't spend $3 million on a guy.
Michael Early could go ask the AD if whatever, like Michael Early or Max Weiner, they could go get a bench coach, like an associate head coach, to help them through it. Like you can go hire somebody for $500,000 and they'll leave their job immediately.
I think you're thinking about this.
You don't spend $3 million. You don't give a guy $3 million just to say, "Hey, I hope you know how to run a program."
That's not what.
Fuck no. You don't hire a CEO. You don't hire a CEO that's not ready. Like you just don't hire a guy that you don't know is ready for that.
Tennessee did it with Tony V.
You know that.
Tennessee did it with Tony V. I think you're Tennessee
was hot fucking garbage when Tony V was hired. They hadn't made a regional in 10 years.
So hiring the head assistant of a team that just lost the national championship by 1 run in the 9th inning of Game 3 is
the standard's a little bit higher than a first-time head coach. Tennessee didn't have shit before Tony V got there. You don't go to the national championship and then hire a first-time head coach. All right, I'm done.
I think the idea that you're getting a guy, fine, you don't want to give him $3 million. How about $1.5 million a piece, right? Let's give him $1.5 million a piece. But I will say that the reason I wanted Early or freaking Max Weiner is because they bring the juice, they bring the energy, and let's call upon the wild card in the Royal Rumble.
Guys,
listen, guys, this is This is the guy.
5-story Mountain Dew bottle and put it behind Bluebell Park.
I think if you paid Roland Fanning $2 million on a 1-year deal and said, hey, you're gone no matter what after this year, he would do it. And like his sole job is to just give the Longhorns hell. This is your guy. Like that's like half joking, obviously. But listen, let's get through the names now. We're almost an hour in. Dimitri's got to leave in 20 minutes. He's not getting hired. But how great would it be if A&M just went, let's go get the baddest dude in college baseball, a guy that is passionate about his players, and he would buy in to the A&M culture in a heartbeat. He would coach the games wearing their white yell leader outfits. Like he would be all in on the Aggies. And if you're looking for like an explosive guy and a guy that maybe will just build up the drama in a WWE way, Roland Fanning from Austin P would be absolutely electric.
I agree. I think Roland Fanning would fight the whole damn SEC. He would tell Vitello, meet me at home plate. He would tell Dave Van Horn, meet me at fucking home plate. He would tell these dudes, meet me at home plate.
If you in his contract, the stipulation was, hey, you get this job through 2025 because that's when they host Texas at Bluebell. In the stipulation, it was like, yeah, we want you to wrestle Bevo too. He'd do it. He'd be like, yeah, I'll do that for nothing. Like, what?
We're going to fire you if you lose to Bevo, but if you win, we'll keep you around. But we're hiring you to fight him, motherfucker.
Yeah. So yeah, that I just wanted to show that picture because we love Roland Fanning.
Guys,
I think there's a very, very low percentage that he would ever be approached about this job, but he's a damn good coach and a proven winner, and he would bring the offense. A&M wouldn't sit back and wait. Like he would have those boys ready. So anyways, that was just the first name I wanted to bring up. Second name here. Oh, you
wait, time out. I have to leave. I got to be at the field on the line in 21 minutes.
All right. Jack and I will finish this up, and I'll text you my 10.
So I just wanted to say, hey, fans, I hope that was not some scripted argument. That was me getting pissed. That was Jack firing back. That was Ben firing back. And to be honest, those are the best conversations when people get animated. And I think that just gives you a little glimpse of how much we love the sport. So with that being said, I'm not angry anymore. But if they hire a first-time head coach, I will be very disappointed in Texas A&M.
Guess you won't be. They're A&M fans.
No.
I'm a host. See you, Dimitri.
All right,
name number 2.
Hit me.
This, and I'm going kind of in order from like, I want to say the most wild names first, and then like kind of lead up to some actual possible names. How about Braden Montgomery? You go Braden Montgomery, player coach. He signs a contract to be the head coach for a year. He's got a year of eligibility left. He doesn't go to the draft. He gets $3 million instead to coach and play. He's rehabbing from the ankle. All fall, he can just like mold his team. I promise you. And you could say the same thing about Hayden Schott too, right? Like, hey, Hayden Schott, you're going to be the head coach, player coach. We need that in college baseball. We need a player coach. And you know what? I think Schott actually qualifies. I want to say you have to have a degree and a master's degree, or at least working on a master's degree to become a college coach, a head coach. I think he qualifies, and maybe Braden Montgomery too.
He definitely fits the bill. Schott probably makes a little bit more sense than Braden Montgomery. Braden Montgomery, even with a broken leg, is set to make some pretty good money that I don't think A&M can match. I'd like to have a more serious conversation about Schott, though, because what you could do is you could have, excuse me for forgetting his first name. I think, is it Ryan Targnack?
Ryan Targett, yeah.
Coached first base and then would pinch hit late in the game. Wore 12 for the 12th man. You make him and a Hayden Schott player coach duo. That is a conversation that I think College Station fans be like, good. We're literally just going to have a bunch of players fighting Austin, Texas, the whole city.
I think there would be a Netflix documentary immediately, and they would make twice the return on investment. That needs to happen.
You guys, basically.
Yeah. So, So first name, Roland Fanning. Second name, Hayden Schott, Braden Montgomery, and Ryan Targett. Third name here. Let's just throw Skylar Mead's name out there. Skylar Mead, Troy University. Look, I know it's a smaller school, but talk about a guy that like instantly you talk to any coach around the country, they say, oh yeah, he's an SEC coach. Like, oh yeah, he's an SEC coach. He's young, but has the fire. And guess what he's doing right now? coaching Team USA.
Oops. Captain
I mean,
America.
I think that's one of those hires that A&M fans at first would be like, what are we doing? And then immediately after his first press conference, they're like, oh, we're bought in. This is the guy.
And to me, like the splashy name hire right now doesn't do justice. Like you're just trying to like match what Austin did. Like you have to get creative right now, right? If this big name that you thought was your guy is going to leave, I want to find someone young and hungry that is willing to like grow and like be a part of this brand. That's why a guy like Skylar Meade is so damn like attractive to a school, in my opinion, because like he gets it. There's nobody that relates better to the player themselves, right? Troy has built this mid-major program that was in the top 25 all season, right? All of their guys are going back. He's got a dude on that Team USA team with him. He could enter the portal and left, but guess what? He wants to play for this guy, right? He wants to play with this guy. That's what A&M is looking for, right? Brooks Bryant was a Dick Hauser semifinalist. He's playing for Team USA, hit a home run in his first at-bat. Captain America and Captain American Jr. are staying in Troy, Alabama because why? They love each other. That's what A&M's missing. So, Skylar Meade, pack up the van, and we'll see you in C-Stat.
Fourth name, sorry.
Yeah, man.
He just left Houston Christian, the Puma. Look, I think Lance Berkman, if you give him the resources that A&M has, he was basically coaching a high school playing Division I baseball. Houston Christian facilities are awful. The budget and everything awful. Like something that you're coaching with your hands tied behind your back. But talk about a guy that hates Texas, like literally hates the Longhorns. He's got a ton of Texas ties. And oh yeah, he can go hire any coach in the country to be his assistant coaches, and they would love to work for him. I know his record wasn't great at Houston Christian, but how many Aggies are pissed if they get Lance Berkman coming their way?
Seriously. Play the name game. You know what I like what we're doing right now? We're just advocating for the brand guys. If we can get a for the brand guy in College Station, come on.
Yeah. There's a little bit more serious names coming up here. Here's the next guy. Like this one is a little bit more serious. His name has not been thrown around publicly, but like privately through some coaches. I think Dan Fitzgerald from Kansas, head coach at Kansas, has a really good resume. Coaching at Kansas is hard, but what does he do? He's actually an assistant at Dallas Baptist, takes the head coaching job at Kansas, brings in the #1 junior college recruiting class. They don't have the NIL money. They don't have the resources. He adjusts. He's a very fluid coach and a really, really smart guy. He's a name that would not be a splash hire. I think a lot of Aggies would be mad initially. But once he gets that program rolling, like he's a player's coach. We saw how much fun Kansas had this year and how successful they were. Really close to making a regional. You give him that, but now he has all of the A&M resources, the talent, the players. It could be a really good hire. Dan Fitzgerald from Kansas, I think and he's a Texas. Like he's got a lot of Texas ties with recruiting.
Yeah.
He's somebody that I think is very underrated here.
I like that how because you're right. If you can recruit a kid to Lawrence, right? Like with all due respect, like it's not like it's a basketball town. But so if you can recruit some really stud baseball players, like imagine just pouring gas on the fire, and then all of a sudden you have all the resources in the world where you're going to see Texas A&M donors and alumni like just pouring money into that baseball program to one up, that team in Austin.
Yeah, I agree. Here's another name that someone threw this name at me, like pretty highly respected in the college baseball world, and I was taken back. Jack, this is somebody that you and I have an emotional tie to, but when I heard it, and I'm not saying he's even considering this job, but it wouldn't shock me if this happened.
Okay.
AJ Hinch of the Detroit Tigers, former Astros manager. You know how much money he's making for the Tigers? $1.2 million. Talk about a team that like doesn't have the playoff aspirations that they thought they would this year. Very underachieving. His contract expires soon, I think after 2025. A&M pays him twice as much. You get a proven winner, a World Series winner. Are we at the stage now where MLB coaches and managers would rather coach in college?
come take a pay bump. What I'm looking up their record right now. 37-44. They've struggled a bit. But you want to talk about the ultimate
All-Star break's coming up. Good time to make a change. I think it's almost impossible to do, but when I heard that name and started doing just a little bit of research, I was like, honestly, I would not be shocked if that is a splash hire.
That would be crazy. Has that ever happened before?
No.
Never, right?
Never.
The one name that I kept seeing like on Twitter was Joe Madden for the Texas job. Is that like a possibility that like these big league guys would want to come and play this game? Right?
Yeah, there was like Joe Girardi was a finalist for the USF job, or maybe UCF. One of those jobs in like a couple years ago. So it's more money than they're making in the big leagues.
Yeah, the recruiting game is like they'd have to find like an unbelievable staff to like kind of tightrope walk that, I guess, that journey. I like that. Anything for Hinch, I do.
It really when this assistant coach told me this, like AJ Hinch, I was like, it was more of the idea that there is a possibility where these MLB coaches or maybe minor league coaches would much rather coach at the college level now that there's money. It used to be like, 20 years ago, like head coaches were making $100,000 at the college level. Now they're making $1 to $2 to possibly $3 million, and they're only making one at the MLB level. It's very, very outside. I'm just throwing names out there to you guys that I've heard. I would be not as shocked as a lot of people if something like this happened. And maybe not Hinch, but maybe another MLB manager. Possibility. Dusty Baker. No, just kidding. Who was the guy for the Whites? Ozzie Guillen. A&M just goes and hires Ozzie Guillen.
That'd be a firecracker. Be a firecracker decision. He's an unreal analyst. He is fun to listen to.
Right.
AJ Hinch would be crazy. I don't know. Where's your head at? Like, is there any other wild card names that you've got in the back pocket ready to like?
No. So I don't think so. This is my gut instinct. I think this mystery man. I just went back and looked at the tweet. This mystery name that Kendall keeps tweeting about, and kind of the buzz around the industry. I think that person takes this job. Yeah. I think the other 5 are prime examples of coaches that deserve raises and can get raises. Yeah. And like behind the scenes in the college baseball world, these guys all have agents. A lot of them share agents, and they just want their name out there so they can go back to the school and bump it up another 100, 200 grand, right? Like, hey, A&M's considering me. What are you going to do to keep me? And like, that's how they get these pay raises, right? OConnor, I mean, from Virginia, makes a lot of sense at A&M, but he's been at Virginia for 20 years. He's won a national championship there. He has it on autopilot. We talk about it all the time on the show. What programs are on autopilot? Stress-free jobs. You know you're going to get the talent. You trust your assistant coaches, and you're going to win baseball games and play in June.
Yep.
A&M would be very lucky to have Brian O'Connor. It makes some sense. Maybe he gets a little pay raise out of this from Virginia. Makes a little bit more money. I'm just, when I look at this mystery person that I think will end up getting the job, and by the time you're listening to this, A&M's probably announced a coach. So like this might all just be
null and void.
Null and void. But I think this mystery person is coming from a school that is on autopilot that just wants to change the scenery.
I don't hate that, man. I just like when we were in Hoover, like we got to meet some of these agents.
Can I just say who I think this mystery coach is?
Just do it, dude. Let's go. Let her rip.
I don't know if I want to.
Who cares? Everyone else is playing the game like they know what the hell's happening. We're just shooting from the hip. We've prefaced like 100 times that we're just having fun dialogue. Like, go ahead.
I think it's Josh Holiday from Oklahoma State.
Really? I like that.
Talk about a guy that wants to. You got to think about this, and I have nothing to back this up. This is just boys and fun podcasting. When there's a coach that wants to remain anonymous in this whole thing, It's because he's got emotional ties to the university. He doesn't want to tarnish his reputation. He doesn't want to tarnish what he's built and what he's been a part of for decades. But maybe he wants a change of scenery. Maybe he says, you know what? Oklahoma State is a great, great, great all-time program. I've grown up watching this team. I grew up playing, coaching, but I want a little bit of a change of scenery. And talk about a guy that has somebody that could take over that program on his assistant coaching staff. They can just take that Oklahoma State program. It's on autopilot. Like, let's go. Josh Holiday to A&M makes a lot of sense in my head. It's way more money. He gets to do it all over again and compete in the SEC, which I know there's some other conference fans out there that are tired of SEC talk, but it is a different animal. And you see it by the results in Omaha and winning a national championship. Dude, I'm gonna put it on record. That would be who I think this mystery person is.
So I think because I just looked it up. He just finished his 11th season. He's gone to 10. He's appeared in the regionals 10 times. He's gone to 3 supers and he's gone to Omaha once. Big 12 coach of the year twice. Like he definitely has like the resume to go get a job like that. And kind of like what we talked about with Virginia, like you just close your eyes and you picture a host in Stillwater every year at this point, right? Even though he's only been to 3 supers in 11. Is that what if you're the AD, I handed you the keys to the castle, is that the kind of decision you would make? Because I know that we argue with Dimitri a little bit, and I think it's healthy, right? This is good for the game. I just think I'm almost going in the opposite direction. You know what I mean? Like, I understand like that would be a good name hire if you're an A&M fan, you feel safe with it. I don't want to be safe right now. I want to get weird. Like, I want to get hungry. I want to get aggressive, and I'd go find like a young guy that feels that instead of I know like Schloss is resetting and like going, and obviously he's created this autopilot. Like we said, like I want someone that's looking to kick this thing into 4-wheel drive almost. Like what would you?
No, dude, I agree 100%. If I'm A&M, I want a hungry young coach that can be my staple, like my Tim Corbin or my Kevin O'Sullivan. Like a guy, Tony Vitello is going to be on this trajectory too. I want a guy that's young, hungry, fiery, relates to players well, and you can build this thing for the next 20 years and never think twice about it.
Right.
I agree with you. Like whether that's at the mid-major level or an assistant coach on a Power 5 team, I kind of side with Dimitri a little bit with his thought. We're Texas A&M. We cannot hire a first-year head coach.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Do we go and hire a guy like Paul Maneri and just bridge the gap for a couple years, mold one of these assistants to become the next guy, or get that splash hire when it's ready? I don't know. That's what makes it so entertaining to me. And I'm telling you, dude, I think this mystery person is going to take the job. I think everybody's been so focused on these 5 guys that have obviously Kendall Rogers is the best in the business. No, we talked about it yesterday on the phone. Nobody can do what Kendall Rogers does. The connections that he has and the people that he knows and is able to pick up the phone and call, he will know before anybody else. And there's a lot of people that are trying to replicate what he does. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Kendall Rogers is keeping this person anonymous. It's because he trusts this information. He will not leak this information because he wants to remain the guy to go to. And that speaks volumes to me. He gets permission from these other 5 schools or like other 5, those names leak. And they usually leak for a reason. They leak because those guys deserve more money or a better contract or whatever. And if they don't get it, then sure, they can take the A&M job. But most of the times those schools want to retain those coaches, especially at this time of the year. So there's a reason why this coach is remaining anonymous. And I think if he gets offered the job, he's going to take it. And he's going to do it right. He's going to meet with his team. He's going to tell them, hey, guys, I need a change of pace. Or I need, they offered me money I could not return or not turn down. Whatever the case may be, he's going to do it right. He's going to do it behind closed doors. His team will be the first ones to know what's happening. And then the name will leak or be announced on social media. And then they can do things the right way. And
I like it. You think you're
it's
going
gonna happen. It's gonna happen, I think, pretty soon, before Monday.
has to.
Mhm.
Has to. Like you have to yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. Back to your Kendall Rogers point, like too, like why no one else can replicate it too is because he actually just loves the hell out of it. Like he's so passionate about this scoop work
Mhm.
that like it's tough to replicate it if people are on the outside, like doing it for maybe not the wrong reasons, but it's I mean because it's tough work, right? So for a guy who dominates this space and like dropping the hard hitting news, it does speak volumes to your point that he's holding in that back of the deck like this last card. So
Mhm.
um it'll be interesting, right? Like it'll be super, super, super interesting with the fallout, right? Like if it is a guy like Josh, like if it's like Holiday, like then all of a sudden, like Oak State's got to go about this process of like, all right, now we got to figure out who's going to be the next guy. Um, I don't know, man. This is going to have massive repercussions, dude. I like where your guts at, though. I think you're spot
I
on.
just hope it's a guy that, and this is just selfishly me speaking, as far as covering college baseball and wanting it to be the most fun, exciting sport that I can share with the whole world. I just want it to be a guy that buys in and just hates Texas's guts.
I know, yeah, yeah.
Just absolutely hates Texas's guts, and let's build this rivalry up to what they have in football and basketball, which obviously it'll never touch football, but, like, let's let these fans really hate each other and these players and coaches just battle it out, man. That's what I want, and, like, that's kinda why I think, again, going back to my point, I think there's a chance that Josh Holiday is getting called and interviewed. He does not like Texas.
I think that's got to be the number one deal on the price. And I know, like when Trev Alberts had released his statement, I kind of hope he pivots off of it. I don't want him to be polite. I don't want him to say the right things right now. He got done dirty, right? Like
Mhm.
him releasing this. Oh, we're excited for what Jim Schlossnagle has done for us in our program. Like I don't. I know that he's new, right? He's coming from Nebraska. That's a really passionate fan base as well. They were upset when he left because they were moving in the right direction. You take this awesome opportunity at a school with all the resources in the world. You want to acclimate yourself. Don't dip your toe in the big side of the pool. You guys are about to play Texas in every sport, in every like multiple times a year. Get ready what it learns to hate. I grew up in a burnt orange household. I was I was Colt McCoy for Halloween for 4 years. That was after being Jeff Bagwell for 6. Like I would learn how to learn, walk, talk, ride a bike, and hate Aggies and Sooners. That my entire life. So this is coming from a dude that understands this rivalry. And I am asking A&M to hire a guy that despises the bird orange because of the way that Schloss handled this thing. I think it's got to be numero uno on the priority list. I want Trev to, in the opening press conference to come out and go, I'm glad that Jim Schlossnagle left. He
Yeah.
clearly didn't care about our school. We don't care about him anymore. It is going to be numero uno that we are going to play for national championships. And when our guys play for national championships, that's all they're thinking about. Rile up that fan base. Let's get this thing dirty. Come on. And I think you're right. Like if it is a guy like Josh, like I want him to embrace that. I don't want him to shy away from it and say all the right things because in order to get those guys back in your dugout that might be sitting in the portal, it's not a 2-year deal. It's the kind of kid you're going to recruit down the road. Like it's good for the sport, and it's mostly important in this situation. Good for your program to feel slighted by a guy that left you. So if that is your dude, then make sure he is fully on board with that train of thinking.
Yeah. Obviously there's some other coaches out there. We'll wrap up the show here in a little. I'm just having way too much fun, like
I
with the
love.
speculating side, because this is what Jack and I would do on the phone anyways. Like I'd be in the car talking to him or whatever. And obviously, like I said my list of fun names that they should look at and consider. I mean, would it surprise you to see some ACC coaches leave though?
No,
Like
no.
talk about Chris Pollard at Duke, who I think would be an unbelievable fit at A&M, one of the best minds in college baseball.
That would make sense.
Doesn't have the facilities even close to what A&M has. He's able to bring his staff over and like they would do wonders at A&M. Like Chris Pollard would be a great hire. Same thing for Tom Walters, a guy that you're close with. Wake Forest, they've exceeded expectations for that university the last 8 years. especially like the last 3 or 4. Tom Walters is a guy that I think is severely undervalued or in the shadows of the college baseball world. What he's done is just as good as any other coach in the country besides win that national championship. The recruits he brings in, the player development that he has, his ability with NIL on a limited budget. He's a really good coach.
I like that pick.
Like those two guys, and like facilities are good at Wake Forest, but they're not great. The fan base is not great compared to A&M.
Right.
I think there's some ACC coaches that could also be these mystery name people that don't want to ruin what they've built, but do want to listen to the offers that they're getting.
So to add on to the two guys you mentioned, here's the name that I told you about on the phone that made sense to me, right? So you think about Pollard. He turned down that Miami job last year. It was a big deal when he released the gif of like, hey, we're just kicking down the door. He comes back to Duke because they're doing the big renovations. I think he's like 18 wins away from becoming the all-time winningest coach in Duke history. He's got kids that are stud baseball players in the area. He doesn't want to pull them out. So like he is, in my opinion, in it for the long haul to kind of do what Walter did at Wake is like change the face, change the way that we view Duke baseball. I could not respect the coach more. Like he's such a beast that you're like, that would make all the sense in the world, right? So name to keep on. Walter, same boat. Muscara, his staff, they're legendary. They all go together. That would make sense too. The other ACC coach that I think was sprinkled in a bunch of tweets that everyone was talking about, that when you think about fire, right? Like, I don't know if many brought as much as he did in the postseason, but like, I know he just got there, but Bakich would make all the sense in the world too, right? Like he called.
That would be the dream hire.
That
like
would be
the dream.
If you want to make a big name splash, right? Big name splash plus the exact attitude and mantra behavior towards this situation. To me, that would be priority target number one. I don't think he leaves. Like Clemson fans don't like start slashing my tires quite yet. I really don't think he does, because same kind of deal. He's trying to change the face of that culture to emulate what Texas A&M already has. So if it's the process for him, then he's going to stay. But he's a showman, and he's not a showman that's like manipulative or like calculative. Like he just can't help himself.
Yeah.
Like he can't, like he literally can't, like he didn't call Clemson fans country club like on purpose. Like he just did it because like, hey, we love Clemson baseball. This is how you guys, I want you to be insane like me though. And they did, right? They showed up in the Cajun Cafe, was bonkers for that Florida series. And it turned into his like just a war zone when he and Leggett got tossed from that game. So to me, that would be the dream hire. Like I would make him say no. Blank check, take it, come and like do exactly what you did there and be hostile as hell all year long. That would be
people are gonna hate me for saying this, but in my opinion, Clemson is a better job than Texas A&M.
Ooh. Okay.
Like Clemson baseball, I think, is a better job than Texas A&M.
From a history.
I like in my head, like Texas, Clemson, obviously Arkansas, like LSU, like those are the top tier teams. And then like right below it is like the A&M, Mississippi school. Like, you know what I mean? Like
you're about to piss some people off. You don't have Ole Miss or Mississippi State in that top tier?
Mississippi State could be in that top tier.
I think.
But I'm just talking about like the history, the fan support, with old fans and new fans, and just a place that has the facilities. And like I put Clemson up in that blue blood territory. I know they haven't won a national championship, and I know that when their dark days, like towards the end, before Bakich, like they weren't great. I might take back back what I just said.
Yeah, I was gonna
It
say.
sounded way better in my head.
I know what you mean, though.
I think that would be more of a lateral move at best for Bakich.
I would say I know exactly what you were trying to say, because I got into some deep water about like calling. I said North Carolina's a college baseball blue blood, and it was like, well, they've never won a national championship. I'm like, yeah, but close your eyes. Like when you think of college baseball, like you think of North Carolina. I think of Mississippi State. I think of LSU. I think of the programs that in 2019, when I did my thesis on college baseball and like 6 teams turned a profit, I think of those schools, right? Like I think about the ones whose fan bases are pouring into them. So Ole Miss and Mississippi State and LSU, right? And like North Carolina. Florida's won more national championships than all of them, but like, do their fans care as much as the others? Probably not. But like, they're a blue blood because they keep winning. So, when I think of Clemson, I think of like it's just like that's an attractive ass job, right?
Yeah,
You're in a small college town where they're going to hand you the keys to the city. You can do whatever Bakich can do whatever he wants in the town of Clemson, just like Dabo has. So that's why it's attractive, job attractiveness versus job security versus college baseball blue blood, which is what we were kind of
and
sprinkling.
Bakich has that job security at Clemson. Like he
Yeah,
is locked down
yeah.
forever. That's why I think it's almost impossible to get him away from there.
Right.
Like, I'm thinking like if I was a top high school recruit in the state of Texas, which unfortunately I was not, but if I was, I would probably really consider Clemson over A&M. Like that's just how like I think kids think.
I don't
You
know.
you would leave your own state to go play at Clemson.
I don't know. It's a hot take. It's
Dude,
hot.
yeah, like again,
How much is Bakich
these
making?
words are not in cement. I'm not cementing these words. I'm working through it in my head.
How much is Bakich making at Clemson right now? Do we
Let's
know?
look it up. Let's look it up.
Because I would be willing. Like, I don't know what Schloss is getting at Texas, and I don't even know who the most highest paid coach in the country is. But if I were A&M, I would be willing at this stage in the game to make Bakich the highest paid coach in all of college baseball to come, right? And then you make him say no. You make him go, hey, I got a good deal here. That would, and to me, if I were an A&M fan, that'd be who I was hoping was the mystery card, right? The mystery.
It's only 1.1 million.
He makes 1.1 at Clemson, dude. A&M was going to triple that. They'll triple that salary. Tell me why this isn't the mystery guy. Because to me, A&M has far more money and is far more willing to allocate it towards it. Bakich literally was screaming at his fans to be more like what already A&M has. So he's walking into a place and a culture that's already at the edge of their seats, already willing to go to war. And then you're bringing the showman in to help deliver. That would be who I would be. If I'm an A&M faithful, like that's who I want the mystery guy to be. He's building something special at Clemson. I hope Clemson fans don't hate me for saying this. Take it as a compliment. I think what he's doing is masterful work, and he did it in not even half a year last year and then built on it this year to be a top 4 team in the country. That's the guy. 1.1 at A&M will give him 4.
Yeah, you should. I wish I could just emulate what's going on in my brain right now. Right?
Light bulbs everywhere, and then they turn off really quick.
Like what is more valuable? Let's just say A&M doubles it, and let's just say 2.5, or let's say between 2 and 2.5 million.
Right.
Do you want the 1.1 million with a possible raise? Like I'm sure if he comes back to Clemson and says like, "Hey, A&M's offering me 2.5," Clemson might say, "Hey, we can get to 1.75 or 2. Like that, we can do it. We can get our alumni and like our donors to make that happen." Do you want the job security and like something that you've already built to a powerhouse in 2 years at 1.7 or 2? Or do you go and get that 2.5 to 3 at A&M and just say, I can do this?
And then
like, I believe in myself.
And then let's have a conversation too, right? If your guy is Holiday at Oak State, and if I'm the mystery card, I don't want anyone knowing that I'm interviewing for this job. He fits that bill to the T because like he is proud to be a Clemson Tiger, right? Like he has strings already attached to that. This is the second run back. So he by no means is he wanting to run away from Clemson because he's scared of the op school or he wants a better place to live with his family, right? Like this would strictly be because, hey, they're offering me an insane amount of money. And let's be honest, if he took that job in A&M, we're talking about job security, like he wouldn't even have to win. He could go 3-50 next year, but if he beats Texas 3 times, it's a success. So it's a different animal. To me, maybe disagreeing with you a little bit, like in the state of Texas, I don't like if you're going to recruiting those top tier guys. I do think A&M kind of has it on cruise control in the sense that like they've been able to bring in dogs because of the environment that's so unique to anywhere else in the country.
So I disagree with that.
Really?
I think before Schlossnagle, I think there was a dying Texas A&M baseball. Like they had a period of time, 2010 to 14-ish, where I think they made it to Omaha with like Michael Waka and Tyler Naquin and those guys. But there was a point, like even in 2019, I remember maybe it was 2018, 2019, like those fans did not show up. They were not winning baseball games, and the
Was it 18?
fans were not there.
Was it when in 17 they beat Davidson in the Super to go to? Was it 17 they went to Omaha? Because I know they beat. I just think when I think of A&M baseball, I think of like a fan base that's really proud and like is there regardless of wins or losses. Were they good? Right? Were they a top 25 program during a lot of those years? No, but they were making runs, and I do think they are one of the best fan bases in the country. As crazy as hell as I think they are. I never thought I would brag on this program. You got to understand, this is really foreign for me. I'm usually bad mouthing him to high hell. So,
Yeah, I mean, like there was a point before they went from 2017, they went to the College World Series,
yeah,
and then in Schloss's first year, 2022, they went to the College World Series. There was a gap there where A&M was not like their stadium was not filled. I went to an A&M game in one of those years, and it was like pretty much it was like a normal sized crowd.
really?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what years they were, but they had a little dead period there with Rob Childress.
Well, then maybe they were just looking for a winning team. But I do think, I mean, I don't know. That would be my mystery guy though if I were A&M. So count me all wrong, but like you're about to get an even more rabid fan base. So whoever is walking into it, I hope they play it up instead of play it down. Like I want them to embrace that craziness.
Yeah, look, hand up. I had no idea Bakich was only making 1.1 million.
I didn't either. Well, think about it. Like what? When I think wasn't Dan McDonald the first ever million dollar head coach in college baseball? So like think about how much the game has grown to now where it's a pretty commonplace conversation where like everyone in our brains is making that money when maybe in reality that's not the case. So I don't know. Have they announced what Schloss got at Texas?
I don't think so. I haven't looked though.
I knew it. I just know the stipulations, right? Like A&M or Texas has to. I think it was $3 million. They have to match the salary too, and to buy him out of that contract. So it was a hefty, pretty penny. So, I mean, A&M is going to want to pour a ton of currency into their next guy, and that would be the guy that I had my eye on. I think
the only other name that I didn't bring up on my list of 10. Do we hate Matt Deggs?
That'd be for the brand. Oh,
I mean, think about it. Him and Pierce coached together for a while. I think they've coached together.
So Deggs gets the job and he makes Pierce his associate head coach.
See, I don't know the relationship between those two, but I imagine it's pretty good. But I mean, like, look, Deggs is one of those guys that's like one of the most respected guys in college baseball. Like, he does things the right way. He's gritty as hell. He would fit that A&M culture. I think the players would love to play for him, like those guys in the portal. But he's making pretty good money at a school like Louisiana where he's viewed as a god, and they win baseball games. But we're talking about not doubling his salary. It would be close to like 6 or 7 times his salary.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, his name was floating around for the Texas job, right? Why wouldn't it be the same case now?
I could call him.
You want to call him up, tell him that
call him right now and be like, hey, coach.
We've officially entered your name in the Texas A&M buzz ring. I do think give us a staff at A&M of Deggs, Fanning, Mead. Deggs can do the hitters, Mead will do the pitching, and Roland Fanning is the chief vibes officer, CVO, and let those 3 hungry dogs go to work all in. And they'd be the Texas A&M 11.7 Aggies.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's really what we're rooting for, is just a guy that we know.
We're just rooting for a brand guy. That's it.
Anyways, I'm sure by the time a lot of these people are listening, like this could be announced any minute.
Yeah.
And it could be any of these guys. Like the thing is, there isn't very many people that know what's going on.
No.
Everybody can speculate. I feel like us at 11.7, we do get DMs and text messages and calls from people around the industry that give us a little better idea than what the public has.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll tell you this right now. Like, there was a lead where I immediately texted Dimitri. This was a couple days ago, and said, "Get the Heefner graphic ready. Get his Photoshop in an A&M uniform. It looks like." And the lead turned out to be not as serious, right? And so, one thing that we've learned in this industry, like, never try to be first. Just try to be correct. And like, yeah, we'll make Photoshops before. Like, when we heard that Schlossnagle was possibly going to A&M, we had the Photoshop ready. We're not like trying to antagonize anything. We're not trying to leak anything. Like, we want to make sure that the sources are good, and we're completely okay with learning about this from somebody else, right? If an assistant coach at a Power 5 school calls me and says, "Hey, I'm hearing this, this, and this," it's good information to have, but like, I'm not gonna put it on Twitter or say that A&M is ready to hire this guy or expect this guy to get hired. It's like, you don't know for sure. Now, if somebody calls me and says, "Hey, we inked a deal, 3 years, $7 million total. It's going to be this name, and we're announcing it in 15 minutes," I'd consider putting it on Twitter.
Yeah.
I would.
Here, let's break this down. We're an hour and a half in. We could legitimately do this for 5 hours because we love it.
Easily.
Easily, like, because we love this. And if you're still listening, it's because you're one of those ride or dies that we keep talking about at the end of the year that we're so grateful for. We'll tell you this. How about this little sneak peek? The guys that are doing it, right? Teddy Cahill or Kendall Rogers, like, these guys are really good at what they do.
Yeah.
We're very different. Like, we just have told you, we're storytellers. I reached out to Ben probably a month ago or two, whenever that was, a month ago, about a guy in the A10 leaving. I think I can say it now because it's already official. But when Kinger left Dayton, right, to go become the associate for Corbin at Vanderbilt, I like told Ben, I was like, "Yo, I got this tip that like it's happening." Like, from someone in that locker, and like I was like, "No one said this yet." I was like, "That's a pretty big deal." Like
Yeah.
right, because they're right, like you said. At the end of the day, we forget that these are human beings that are uprooting their lives, uprooting their wives, their families to go get other jobs. But because we're former players, I know what it feels like to be recruited by a guy and then that guy leave. I'm not gonna be the one to let them know that. So I told them, I was like, I don't feel comfortable doing this if he hasn't told his team yet. Right now, I end up finding out, like, and I hope this isn't airing dirty laundry, but there are some coaches that will send out a tweet or do a Zoom or meet as a team. We're in a landscape where a lot of his guys left, so they didn't have that opportunity to say goodbye in a formal setting. They just did it over a Zoom. I think that's the proper way to go about it instead of a text. But I didn't want to be, and I know Ben feels the same way. 11.7. We didn't want to be the one like, "Hey, this is the news that's happening," because we are the player advocacy platform, right? Like, that would suck to find out on a tweet like that goes crazy that, oh, wow, like, what now happens to me? That's kind of the corner that we're coming from. So maybe I should have, maybe it would have been great for the buzz and the clip. I don't know, man. I just know what it feels like. And it doesn't feel very good. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where we're at. So you can see and say what you want. And there are journalists that like are doing this at a really, really, really elite level, and they do it really professionally. But we just like to tell stories, right, from the player and coach perspective. So maybe
And
we
like,
should.
don't get us wrong. Like, we are all for, the kids call it now engagement farming. Like, we love posting tweets like that get the buzz going, right? Like, get people excited or pissed off or whatever. We did it with the Condoleezza Rice DM.
That was great. That was great. Yeah,
It was so funny that it was like, yeah, this is engagement farming, but like, people, like, they want to check Twitter and just be like, "Oh, that's actually really funny,"
hilarious.
right? When it's such a serious situation, or not that serious, but they're looking for their new head coach, and we say, "Big if true," and someone says like, "Aggies are looking at interviewing former Secretary of the State Condoleezza Rice," which
Wait,
is
let's.
just a playback of the Adam Schefter dupe from 2018 with the Cleveland Browns. That's funny.
Wait, can we play more into that? Because you're right. I know let's put a pool of 5 together. Condoleezza Rice is at the top of that list. Let's do 4 more that we'll release by the end of the day. I know we're late, but it's a bonus edition. Who you got?
For the A&M job, give me Mathis Mack.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I'll throw another name in there. You want to really piss off the rival? I was thinking about this earlier. This guy was potentially linked to becoming the new Texas governor. What if he stole the minister of culture right out from underneath their feet? He is my biggest man crush on the planet. Matthew McConaughey, he's just a staple, the figurehead. That'd be brutal if you were the Longhorns to lose that guy.
I posted a funny tweet from my personal account. They should just go hire like a professional UFC guy. Like, go get John Bones Jones to be your head baseball coach, and nobody's messing with you all year. Schlossnagle would be zip quiet in that dugout.
Be a psychopath.
Go get Chuck Liddell, Chuck the Iceman Liddell, to be your head baseball coach.
Yeah, John Jones still funny, so Liddell makes more sense. Might need the money too. So we got Condoleezza Rice, we've got McConaughey, we got Chuck Liddell. Who is the other? No, and Mattress Mac 4. Let's round it out with a strong 5. Let's go.
I've seen Myles Garrett's name being leaked around.
Myles Garrett, literally looks like Batman. Be a great hire. Myles Garrett 5. Congratulations to you 5. You're potentially.
How about like a Shane Gillis? Just like go get a comedian.
I like that, just to talk shit from the dugout.
The players would play for him. 100%. They would get any recruit out there.
I like that. I'm all in on Shane Gillis. Boom, done.
Yeah. Should we leak that today?
That's what I'm saying. I think we should do a new 5. Hey,
just be like, hey, sources are saying Shane Gillis has not turned down the A&M job, which is not. I mean, that's a fact. He has not turned it down.
Not turned it down.
And he lives in Austin.
Yeah, how about this one? He does live in Austin. I've got one. I got a name for you. This would be the 6. He did engage with me. I can't believe we haven't talked about this yet. Waka Flocka Flame tweeted back at me on my drive out to Omaha, and it may have been the best interaction I've had all 2 weeks. Texas A&M officials have not denied the reports that Waka Flocka was offered the job. How about that?
I mean, it's not false information.
They take the field to every game screaming, "Brick Squad!" Who wouldn't want to play for that guy? Going hard in the paint, hard on the diamond. Waka Flocka.
You know what? I'm actually down with Waka Flocka.
He's already shown he's going to interact with an idiot with a pencil. He'll really interact with the 11.7 account. Be like, Waka, I'm not sure your connection to the baseball, to the sport of baseball, but I'm hearing that you're potentially the perfect hire for this situation.
A&M should honestly just go after guys that are figureheads that need the money. Like, they're doing like crazy part-time job. Like, go get Pete Rose, Jose Canseco, and who else is kind of doing the little stunt stuff right now? Let's just start with those two: Jose Canseco, Pete Rose, and let's get it started.
Someone said they wanted a splash. That'd be a splash. Be a cannonball.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to throw one more name out there before we end.
Do it.
Why not us? Why can't 11.7 coach Texas A&M?
Let's break this down. Doug Gottlieb, college basketball analyst, gets the Green Bay job. Coaching Division I basketball. He's got no coaching experience. Green Bay's never won a national championship. Neither is Texas A&M baseball. The 11.7 crew rolls into CSTAT. Ben, you're the head coach, clearly. Recruiting guru. It's been a dream of mine just to be a bench coach. Riz God can coach up the pitchers. And we've got an open spot on our staff to do some hitting. Who wouldn't want to play for us?
Who would be our hitting coach? Oh, how about Will Taylor from Baseball Bat Bros?
Oh my God. You've already met him. Get him on the phone. Clearly he knows which bats are hot. We'll cork them. We'll cheat. No doubt.
I'll tell you this. We would win a game.
We'd win a couple. We'd definitely
we'd win a couple.
I don't want to overextend maybe the relationships that I think are a lot cooler than they are. I'm almost positive I can get those guys in the portal to come back and play for us. I don't know the pull and the power of the pencil to its full extent, as we're still just dabbling. I made some pretty good friendships last year. I'd say, hey, shot. Keys to the castle. Do whatever you want. You tell me who we need. Let's go get them.
It would be Blue Mountain State 2.0.
Oh my God, we'd be. I would guarantee we definitely go over 500. Definitely.
I'm feeling at least 4 SEC wins.
No, more. Missouri had more than 4.
5. We would get 5 SEC wins.
We'd get double digit. We'd get 10.
We're a tournament team.
Well, everyone makes Hoover now. So
Yeah.
definitely a Hoover team. And then at that point in the year, you know what they say, freshmen are no longer freshmen. In our first year of coaching ever, by Hoover, we'll be freaking fine-tuned. Firing
We
all
would make sure that we're playing our best baseball in May. You know what? That's what I would say. I would promise you
Yeah.
that the Texas A&M Aggies would be playing their best baseball in May.
I promise you'd fall in love with us.
I don't know how many wins we would have, but we would be playing our best baseball in May. And that's all you can ask for.
Never a doubt. Are you throwing BP or are we doing machine?
Yeah. No, I'm throwing BP.
Current Aggies run machine work, which I'm kind of all about.
We can do that too. I want to hit some fungos.
I don't hit a great fungo, but I will learn. I will learn for this job.
You know what? Let's put it on record. A&M, we're available.
Where do we apply?
It's a state job. I think we can apply.
I'm going to look that up right now and apply for us.
State job.
And how about this? Let's say right now they're allocating a $5 million budget for their coaching staff, right? For 4 guys and for all that aside, if we get the job, Ben, I can't speak for yourself, we'll take $1 million and the rest of the 4 will buy the best players in the country. That is selflessness.
And we'll throw in all you can eat pizza and all you can drink beer party before the season.
For who?
With that $4 million. For the fans. Yeah. Fan fest.
We'll take $100,000 and run a Project X party at Bluebell Park the night before opening day. I'd also like to add that I'm actually willing to go lower on the paycheck. I quite literally just want $50,000, and I'll sleep.
Yeah, me too.
All right, even better. 4 coaches for $200,000. We're going to take $4.8 million to buy the best roster that college baseball can ask.
Yep.
We'll live in Teal Ninja. We'll literally live on the grounds. I can't believe I'm going to do. My dad's going to hate me, guys. My dad is the biggest Texas Longhorn fan in the world, and I'm applying for pennies on the dollar. That's how passionate I am about this. But $50,000.
We have a bat boy built in too, Brooks. My 2-year-old son. He'll be 3 by then. 3-year-olds can be bat boys.
Dude, can't you see the storyline already? Brooks is going to become a national media darling next year as he trots out to pick up the bat. What else should we add? So I think that we could really get Skylar Meade and Roland Failing on our staff because we need those. Skylar's the ultimate pitching coach. He's broken every strikeout record at every program he's coached for. That's our guy. Roland will literally fight Bevo, which hurts me to say out loud because I might get Bevo tattooed on me at some point in my life. But I think that's what we're building towards. I think you get our baseball bat bros to pull away. Now they might ask for a different dollar price because they're killing the game, but we're kind of building a legacy freaking roster right now. $4.8 million.
Give us a call, man. Well, let's just have a conversation, A&M. I've talked myself into it. We can get Netflix involved. Open invite. Any practice, any game. Let's film. Behind the scenes. JJ Redick's coaching the Lakers. He was a podcaster.
This is the new wave that we're living in.
And you know what? I'll even say this. If it doesn't work out, I'll take all the blame. I'll take it all. A&M, you can blame me.
Hand up. I'm your guy. I'm your playing game guy. But when it works, you can have all the credit in the world.
So you know what? That too. We'll give you all the credit, A&M.
When it
after this works.
No worries. You guys saw it. You saw it. You saw a diamond in the rough. You went and got the 11.7 podcasters and said, these are our guys. We knew it all along. Ball's in your court. I would like to add that I'll take $40,000 instead of $50,000, but I do want free Bluebell ice cream all year. I want to make that very clear.
Hey, we set the record at Hoover.
Oops.
People don't know this, but we set the record.
Shout out to Will. 9-9-9 was slight work.
We each had, over the 3 or 4 days I was there, I had 30 plus ice creams. Free ice creams in the media room. 30 plus of those crunch bars.
You want to talk about it just meaning more in the SEC? It was so evident in the way that they treated their media guests. Free ice cream. The Bluebell ice cream sandwiches, plus those like Crunch Bar, didn't stand a chance.
I'm thinking back on it. I had 30 or more. Like I had 8 to 10 a day.
Dude, there was that one game. It was a night game, A&M
Yep.
Mississippi State, and the three of us, I'm not even kidding, at least 20. I remember just doing rounds like we were at the bar.
We would do it twice an inning.
I have a serious question for you. Someone stated this to me the other day. You get to pick one for the rest of your life. The other is like you're stone cold sober on. Ice cream or alcohol? Where are you going?
Ice cream.
I'm picking ice cream every time, dude.
So like ice cream is gone forever.
Yeah. You only get to consume one product for the rest of your life.
Then that's a no-brainer. Ice cream.
Yeah, dude, alcohol is gone by the wind. Like I'm cool. I don't know if you saw the interview I did with Xander Seacrest and Kirby Cannell. They did insomnia every single night they were in Omaha. Every night they got the exact same ice cream, and I was like, "That sounds awesome." They're like, "It was." By the end of the week, like the people and the employees at Insomnia were quite literally like, "Hey, give me your best." And they were making the most insane like cookie ice cream sandwiches. They did it every night they were there. Something else.
I'm jealous, man. But anyways, we'll end the show there. Hour 45. I'm sure I didn't even check. The A&M news might be out already. But anyways, if it is, just know we were having a fun time. We're having a fun time. This was a good episode. We'll be back next week, probably Monday. And we're going to do a fun end of the season recap, give away some awards and accolades. It'll be good time. So y'all take care.